It's definitely a little scary that Elon Musk gets to say things that he does not like are criminal now, especially when, he does have a tremendous amount of influence over the current administration. God, I can't stand how corny these guys are. Speaking of how corny these guys are, here's what Elon Musk said today. I love @real Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. Hey, not gay though, okay? Pause. No homo. Like, he had to specify. He couldn't just say, I love Donald Trump. He had to specify. He's like, I love Donald Trump, but like not in a gay way, okay? That's what he's saying here. He's like, look, I'll ride it till the moment, all the way to completion. Only one spin? No, multiple spins. And yes, they are bringing back the racist staffer. Elon Musk, 6 hours ago, post, bring back DOGE staffer who made inappropriate statements via a now deleted pseudonym. JD Vance, who has Indian children. Okay? JD Vance, whose wife is Indian and has an Indian son. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because one of the inappropriate statements that the DOGE staffer made was something along the lines of like, we should normalize Indian racism, or we should do more Indian racism. Something along those lines. Okay. Yeah. Normalize Indian hate. I was racist before it was cool. You could not pay me to marry outside my ethnicity. 99% of Indian H-1Bs will be replaced by slightly smarter LLMs. They're going back. Don't worry, guys. That guy is now being defended by JD Vance, who has an Indian son. Okay. It's just like, I can't, like, the only level higher, the only way you can be cucked even more on this issue is if you yourself were Indian and were like, yeah, this is actually pretty sick. I, as an Indian guy, also think we should normalize Indian hate, you know? And Ro Khanna did hit him hard on this. He said, are you going to tell him to apologize for saying normalize Indian hate before this rehire? Just asking for the sake of both of our kids. For the sake of both of our kids, grow up. Racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. You know what does? A culture that denies grace to the people who make mistakes. A culture that encourages congressmen to act like whiny children. What do you mean? Dog, this dude is 25 years old. He's not a child, okay? While also simultaneously you're saying he's a kid for saying racist. He said it like 2 months ago. It's not like he was 14 when he tweeted that. He said it 2 months ago, you soul. What the hell? He literally, it's not like he's a child when he's making racist comments, but also an adult. How dare you say he's a child? A capable adult that is tasked with having all of your social security information, but also a racist troll that he is openly admitting is a racist troll on the internet. What is the argument? The argument doesn't make any damn sense. My son loves being socially ostracized, actually. Like, if he's just a kid, he shouldn't get top security clearance. Kaya, place. I cannot overstate how much I loathe this emotional blackmail pretending to be concerned. My kids, God willing, will be risk takers. They won't think constantly about whether a flippant comment or a wrong viewpoint will follow them around for the rest of their lives. They will tell stupid jokes. They will develop views that they later think are wrong or even gross. I made mistakes as a kid, and thank God I grew up in a culture that encouraged me to grow up and learn and feel remorse when I screwed up or offer grace when others did. Yeah, he said he wanted eugenic immigration policy and to repeal the Civil Rights Act 6 weeks ago. Okay, that is crazy. He's just like, come on. He's got a lot of growing up to do, but also he's grown up enough that he should command the Treasury Department. Okay, he should have control over the Treasury in its entirety. He's grown up, but also he has a lot of growing up to do in terms of his racist trolling. I don't worry about my kids making mistakes or developing views that they later regret. Like, this kind of trolling old comments is incredibly stupid and unproductive when it's 10 years old, or when it's someone who said it when they were like 15. But if you're talking about someone who wrote these takes, who is now going to be in the federal government, okay, who wrote these takes 2 weeks ago as a 25-year-old, or 2 months ago as a 25-year-old, then what are we talking about? Like, he just said it. That's not like, how can you combine a reasonable position about like influencers or whatever who have changed and who have grown from their past positions with something that is happening right now. Like, it's so crazy. The next step here is basically when someone says like, oh, I think black people should be removed from all positions of power, right, in the federal government because that's DEI yesterday. And then people go, hey, maybe this guy who is very clearly a white supremacist shouldn't be in office. And then they go, oh, that was yesterday. He's grown so much. Okay. He's grown so much from his past mistakes yesterday. You don't understand. Why are you doing cancel culture to a guy who is wearing a Klan's robe? Excuse me. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. This morning was a time of great personal growth for me. Yeah. Why is the vice president airing beef on Twitter? Because that's just how it is nowadays. They'll grow up to be a U.S. congressman who engages in emotional blackmail. They'll grow up to be a U.S. congressman who engages in emotional blackmail over a kid's social media post. You disgust me. A kid? So if he's a kid, then maybe he shouldn't be in a federal agency. He shouldn't have control over a federal agency. Like, which one is it? He's not. Is he a kid? Is he a racist troll kid? Then maybe he shouldn't have this much power. Big scoop. Musk's DOGE team was fired by cybersecurity firm for leaking company secrets. Edward Korestein posted online that he had retained access to the firm's servers. Now he has access to sensitive government information. Elon Musk about to be like, this is illegal to report on. Here's the article. Here's the second. Mr. President, a second controversy from Elon Musk's DOGE team has hit the towers. Okay. Edward Korestein posted online that he had retained access to the firm's servers. 19-year-old member of Elon Musk's squad that crisscrosses U.S. government agencies was fired from an internship after he was accused of sharing information with a competitor. Edward has been terminated for leaking internal information to the competitor, said a June 2022 message from an executive of the firm, Path Network, which was seen by Bloomberg News. This is unacceptable and there's zero tolerance for this. A spokesperson for the Arizona-based hosting and data security firm said Thursday, I can confirm that Edward Korestein's brief contract was terminated after a conclusion of an internal investigation into leaking of proprietary company information that coincided with his tenure. Afterward, Korestein wrote that he'd retained access to the cybersecurity company's computers, though he said he hadn't taken advantage of it. I had access to every single machine, he wrote on Discord in late 2022, weeks after he was dismissed from Path Network, according to messages seen by Bloomberg. Posting under the name Rivage, which 6 people who know him said was his alias, Korestein said he could have wiped past customer supporting servers if he'd wished. He added, I never exploited it because it's just not me. You don't understand. If he gets fired from his job, this one job, it will ruin his life. We have to let him have all of our social security numbers so that he won't ruin the rest of his life because no one has ever come back from being fired. I write from a job I got after being fired hella times. Yeah, woke journalist Catherine Long, who doxed DOGE staffer, has ties to USAID. Catherine Long, a Wall Street Journal reporter with connections to USAID, just doxed DOGE team member Marco Elez and got him fired conveniently after targeting him as a DOGE audits her former agency. This isn't journalism. She should be fired immediately. First of all, doxing is revealing private information about random citizens, okay, about private citizens. Journalists that are uncovering the names of government employees is not doxing, it's just reporting, okay? And also mentioning their past behavior that is from the not so distant past, such as 2 months ago, is also ridiculous. Like, that's not, like, what are we doing here? This is a public servant. Do you want public servant? I mean, I guess I don't want to hear the answer to that question. I was about to say, do you want public servants to have like overt, openly racist attitudes? And the answer for Elon Musk and the right wing is yes, absolutely. They do want that, yes. Also, wasn't it Wired, not Wall Street Journal, that dropped their names first? Yeah. And it's wild because we're talking about someone who is tasked with regulating, controlling sensitive information, and will have and is going to have a lot of control over federal regulatory agencies in general. Whereas Elon Musk's favorite account on his neo-Nazi website, Twitter, is Libs of TikTok, who literally does this deliberately, knowing full well that they'll get bomb threats to like random teachers that she claims falsely are file groomers. Like, none of this makes sense. They want every single political enemy that they that they have decided is bad to suffer repercussions for the crime of, I guess, for the crime of, being gay while teaching. But also at the same time, if you are a government employee, God forbid we go, hey, you said really racist like 2 months ago. I feel like maybe you're not the best person, considering that you have no background, like no competent background whatsoever. And this is one of the craziest aspects of this also is that this is the team DEI, okay? Team anti-DEI. You got like black and brown women of color that have to work extra goddamn hard to get to a top position. And immediately they're like, oh, they only got there because they're black. They only got there because they're brown. Meanwhile, the anti-DEI team is hiring 19-year-olds with broccoli haircuts with no competence whatsoever. Like, what are we doing? We want the most competent people to be tasked with this job. That's why we hired this 19-year-old white kid who apparently in the past was fired from his internship for leaking proprietary information. His comments made in a Discord server focused on another competitor company, worried executives of Path Network who believed there was no legitimate reason for a former employee to access their machines. According to a person familiar with the incident, the person asked not to be named, citing the sensitivity of the matter. Several of Corstein's online peers and former coworkers said they were surprised that the teenage friend they knew has been brought into one of the most high-profile teams in the Trump administration. His 2022 dismissal and the circumstances surrounding it add to questions about how he arrived in his new job with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency and how he'll handle sensitive government information that comes with it. Great stuff overall. Giving Elon Musk goon squad access to systems that control payments to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other key federal programs is a national security nightmare, said Senator Ron Wyden, an Oregon Democrat and a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Every hour, new disturbing details emerge to prove that these guys have no business anywhere close to sensitive information or critical networks. We hate DEI. That's why we hired Pete Hegseth. That's why we appointed Pete Hegseth to lead the second largest hiring body in the United States of America. Okay? Even though his past experience is being the weekend host of Fox and Friends. Like, think about DEI hires in terms of like the previous head of the DOD. That's DEI. Okay? Why is that DEI? Well, you know why. You know why he's DEI. Okay? Pete Hegseth, on the other hand, not DEI. I wonder if DEI has anything to do with the actual competence demonstrated or the background of the individual at all. Just like everything else, DEI is, lo and behold, shocking to absolutely no one, at least in this community. DEI just means like they want to do what they think DEI is, but for white people. It's not merit-based at all, unless the only merit you care about is being white or being racist, really, or being a troll, which is interesting because that's kind of the reason why affirmative action and DEI was implemented to begin with. Because in the history of the United States, when you think about it, the only group of people that have ever actually been DEI recipients are white people. You know, at a time when black people and brown people were and there's still remnants of this, obviously, but at a time when black people were not allowed to get these jobs, or women were not allowed to get these jobs at all. And it had nothing to do with merit and everything to do with the color of your skin. There's never been a moment in American history where people were like, oh, are you black? Okay, you're hired. There have, however, been a lot of moments in American history where someone simply gets hired because they are not black or not a woman. Seems to me like that's what people are trying to go back to desperately. But in any case, the other racist Doge guy is restored. His position is restored, so fear not. This is the other one. This is the broccoli cut one. This is a separate Doge guy. He was fired by cybersecurity firm for leaking company secrets. And the other Doge guy is now reinstated. Elon said it's criminal for the reporter to be a reporter. What the hell? Certainly improper, possibly criminal. Catherine Long, the journalist of the hit piece that got a Doge employee to resign for a spicy post, is a USAID employee. How is this not a conflict of interest? Yeah, another example of white people DEI, or hiring a white person not based off of merit, but simply because they did some racist ass shit, is Daniel Penny being hired by Andreessen Horowitz. Literally no experience whatsoever, with the exception of being a high-profile guy who went through the court system after murdering with his bare hands a black homeless person on a New York City subway. And now he's got a job at Andreessen Horowitz. I wonder why he got hired there. The irony here, of course, is Elon Musk talking about a conflict of interest being possibly criminal, when now he is, for the price of $256 million, he is now in charge of every single government regulatory agency that has either active court cases against many of the companies that he owns, all of them, or have prosecuted him in the past for impropriety. So, I don't understand how this is a conflict of interest when a journalist is doing journalism, okay? Wait, what? Have you covered that in the past? What? I've noticed that Elon is now saying everything he does not like is criminal. I know. It's definitely a little scary. That Elon Musk gets to say things that he does not like are criminal now, especially when, he does have a tremendous amount of influence over the current administration. He already got the Department of Justice to respond by saying that they would actively prosecute people that mention the names of the DOGE employees in general. Don't know if they're following up on that, but just something to consider as Elon Musk escalates. Here's Ezra Levin from Indivisible, co-founder of Indivisible, reporting on Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries, after holding a House Dem leadership presser focused on Musk's DOGE concerns, does not commit to Dems withholding votes on government spending deal or debt ceiling over issues with Musk's efforts. At a presser minutes ago, Jeffries says he's powerless. Journalists asked, to what extent will Dems withhold votes in negotiations? Jeffries responds, Republicans control the trifecta. It's their government. What leverage do we have? We're going to continue to try to find bipartisan common ground. I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the collapse of America, okay? I'm Brian Kilmeade. Let's find bipartisan compromise, bipartisan common ground. What are you saying? Trump mega donor Steve Wynn has filed a petition asking the Supreme Court to overturn the landmark 1964 decision in New York Times v. Sullivan, which protects the media's ability to aggressively cover public officials. This is part of a long-running conservative campaign, which has already gained support. This is David Enrich from New York Times Business Bureau, which has already gained support among at least two justices to curtail press freedoms by attacking Sullivan. The story of how we got here is pretty wild. It's all in Murder the Truth. A lot of people are asking about the backstory of Wynn's petition. In 2018, the AP reported that he'd been accused of rape. Wynn sued for defamation. Nevada courts ruled that the reporting was protected under New York Times v. Sullivan. Wynn is appealing to SCOTUS, another casino billionaire that is in Trump's corner. Great stuff. Great to see Democrats complaining about the filibuster for 4 years when they're in power, but when they can't be bothered to use it themselves. I know. Leisha Miller has a Why Aren't the Democrats Doing Anything video, which we will be watching in a little bit as well. But yeah. And another scary aspect of this is that, as you guys know, I love the Internet Archive. I love the Wayback Machine. It is an immensely valuable resource. And obviously, people in positions of power have long hated this immensely valuable resource for some of the reporting that comes out of it. Some of the reporting, such as, the DOGE guy. The DOGE guy's racist tweets from literally 2 months ago. Now, they've been actively trying to destroy the Internet Archive, but I guess now they're just going directly to the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, and demanding that they delete stuff. So yeah, Why did the Post say, when I checked the Internet Archive an hour ago for the URLs associated with that account, the racist account, the eugenics immigration policy guy that is now reinstated. Okay, Charlie Kirk is your dad. I watched him slam you in a debate the other day. If you watched that debate and you thought Charlie Kirk slammed me, I think you need to stop slamming your head into walls. I am genuinely concerned about your safety. I assume that your entire house is padded to ensure that you don't accidentally kill yourself while, getting out of bed in the morning. Now there are a total of 2 saved URLs left, and the archive tweets I still have in my browser cache are excluded. Everything referenced in the Wall Street Journal reporting has been purged. This is all that is left visible. They're rapidly scrubbing the record on this, so all that's left is a Wall Street Journal recap that everyone references and can't verify. Great stuff happening on that front in terms of, you know, destroying the truth. Yeah, we already covered this MHUD, the other Doge kid who leaked potentially proprietary information when at a cybersecurity firm. I obviously disagree with some of Elez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. Yeah, he will be brought back. To err is human, to forgive divine. Great stuff. Yeah, he's changed a lot. It's just a continued lapse of judgment. Oh, speaking of like going after information, going after reporting the truth, aside from the New York Times v. Sullivan court case that we just talked about, another thing that I suspect they're going to start doing is actively go after reporters that cover ICE raids and leak ICE activity before it happens. This is something that Thomas Homan has been very angry about. They might even go so far as to make it illegal to tell undocumented migrants what kind of rights they have. Now, of course, I won't stop doing this. I won't stop reporting on this stuff, but I'm just letting you know that that is what I suspect is going to happen, because they're very upset that undocumented migrants that they're trying to falsely imprison and detain and deport for no reason whatsoever are actually aware of their rights. And that is very frustrating because they can't easily violate their Fourth Amendment rights. Makes it much more difficult for ICE to do their job because their job revolves around the violation of people's Fourth Amendment rights.